Call the meeting to order. Could I have a roll call, please?
Belsley. Dobb.
Here.
Hare.
Yes.
Herman.
Here.
Kaufman.
Here.
Newhouse.
Here.
Rainson.
Here. Pledge allegiance to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have no special reports or presentations tonight. This is the time in the meeting when we invite comments from the audience. Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to make a comment to the Board of Trustees tonight? May I ask what the subject is?
This has to do with special use permit.
Okay. I do want to point out that this is not a public hearing. It's just an opportunity for you to tell the trustees what you think, but the public hearing on that subject's already been held in front of the Planning Commission, so we already have the evidence in place, but you're certainly welcome to make a presentation.
Hello, my name is Dr. Monica McGill, and I live at 46 Brook Circle in Morton. I was at the public hearing a couple weeks ago, or last week, and I wanted to get some clarifications, I guess, and present to you a perspective of mine that you may not be aware of. I started this first I heard about it when I actually received a notice in the mail that said that there's going to be a public hearing for public input as to the special use permit for the property on Queenwood. And it basically said that there was a 52-foot tower going into place. So naturally, I'm concerned that in my essentially backyard, there's going to be a 52-foot tower, and that was the first I heard of it. So my mind, logically, I called a couple of the trustees. I went through the code. I talked to some other people who understood zoning regulations and ordinances, and I thought, okay, well, let's see what we've got here. We've got a special use procedure that requires 1010-2F-2A that says that the proposed use will not adversely affect other property developed or able to be developed to the uses already permitted. So the property owners, from what I understand, has to show that there will not be adversely effect on the neighborhood. So I thought, okay, well, that's simple. I'll just go talk to the neighbors and see how they feel. If they feel the same way, then we'll go to the public hearing and let the commission know that we believe that it will have an adverse effect on our property. So I did that, and I went to the Plan Commission, and I learned essentially that the building permit was already issued. The city engineers had already worked with the property owners, and there was no communication with us. And there was no consideration of whether or not that the 52-foot tower was going to adversely affect our neighborhood, the property that's always been established there for the last 20 years. So I thought, okay, well, that's interesting. So I'm not quite sure what the use of a public hearing is if everything is already in place before the neighborhood is actually informed and their input is taken into consideration. I presented a petition that had 20 signed names on it out of the 30 people that I talked to, so I thought, okay, that's a pretty high response rate for a neighborhood. I didn't have time to do any more. Of course, if I would have been given the time, I'm sure I could have. So I guess the first question is, what process does our village actually have in place that issues a building permit, but that's going to require some special use permit, and it's done without the consideration of the neighbors, the existing neighborhood. And then I also wonder what standards are we actually following, because if we're saying that it does adversely affect the property and the property owners say in their statement it won't adversely affect the neighborhood, whose voice are you going to listen to? We have small voices, I'm sure, compared to what the property owners do, given their constituency. However, I do believe that some consideration in some form should be given to the neighbors as to the situation. I came to talk today only about these two things. I don't know what the right thing is to do. Like I said, I went through this logical process, and I came to the conclusion that somewhere along the line, somebody would surely say, hey, this could adversely affect the neighborhood. This is something we should look at. It didn't happen last week at the Plan Commission. It hasn't happened since. No one has reached out to me at all. No one's reached out to the neighbors that I know of, including the property owners or anyone on the Plan Commission or this board. So those are my comments. Those are my questions. I'm a simple citizen, lived here for probably about 10 or 11 years now. My kids have gone to school here, poured lots of tax money into the city, as well as my neighbors. So I don't know what the process is. I haven't been where you guys sit. I don't know what those rules mean. I'm just looking at it from a layman's perspective. So I don't know if that's something that you could actually address now, talk about, or if that would in any way influence the discussions around the special use permit, if that's happening tonight. But I would just ask you to consider in some form the neighbors that have been there for so many years. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else want to make a comment? There being none, is there anyone in the audience who would like to pull something from the consent agenda? Tonight, all we have is minutes and bills. Would any of the trustees like to pull anything from the consent agenda? Could I have a motion to approve?
Move approval.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion on the consent agenda? Call the roll, please.
Dobb,
Yes.
Hare,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
Kaufman,
Yes.
Newhouse.
Yes.
I have one proclamation to make. I would ask what role are you in tonight?
When I'm reading this, I would be your clerk.
The clerk to read the proclamation, please.
This is a proclamation for Adult Day Services Week. Whereas Adult Day Services in Illinois provide care with professionalism and compassion, and whereas, as a result of Adult Day Services, functionally and cognitively impaired adults are able to receive needed care and services in a community environment, and whereas Adult Day Services offer participants an opportunity for enriching educational, therapeutic, and social experiences outside the home, and whereas IPMR Senior World has been dedicated to providing a daytime program for frail, disabled, memory-impaired, or socially isolated adults in a safe, supervised, and supportive environment since 1981 in Central Illinois. And whereas the senior population is increasing in Morton, Illinois, as is the need for support services, and whereas IPMR Morton Senior World has just celebrated its first-year anniversary serving said population, and whereas September 14th through the 20th of 2014 has been designated as National Adult Day Services Week.
Now, therefore, as president of the Board of Trustees of the Village of Morton, I do hereby proclaim the week of September 14 through the 20th as Adult Day Services Week in the Village of Morton. Village Clerk.
Am I supposed to continue? Oh.
Yeah.
In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the Village of Morton to be affixed.
That's fine. That's just an announcement. You may go ahead and do the
Oh, I
village
can be
clerk
my
thing.
next
Be
village
your
clerk
next
thing.
job.
So sorry. Tonight I am asking for a waiver request for the MHS Club Suey Football Booster Club for
So moved.
for a raffle.
Second.
Moved. Second? Kaufman, second.
Okay.
Discussion on this? Call a question, please.
Dobb,
Yes.
Hare,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
Kaufman,
Yes.
Newhouse.
Yes.
Village Administrator.
Tonight I am asking approval to transfer $16,000 from the general fund and $20,000 from the stormwater depreciation fund to the capital projects fund.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Second by Ginger. Discussion? Call the question, please.
Hare,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
Kaufman,
Yes.
Newhouse,
Yes.
Dobb.
Yes.
Chief of Police,
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Corporate Counsel,
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Director of Public Works.
One item tonight, Your Honor. I'm asking for approval of a 2-year contract extension from January 1, 2017 through December 31st, 2018 for the purchase of electricity from Noble America's Energy Solutions. This is basically our village electricity supply contract. Been working with Lands Energy. They're the marketer that we've been working with since '06. We've been working for the last several months, and I think now is the time to lock in our rate. It will be an increase over our contract from now, but I don't believe, listening to our consultant and myself, I don't see electricity going down from where we're at now. So what you have in front of you is the Nobles America contract. We did get prices from others. These are basically hot off the presses. We got these today. Unfortunately, they're not an apples-to-apples comparison on any of them. But after a review of this with the consultant, what you have in front of you is what we believe is the best price for us. It's basically an 80% fixed contract with 20% price based on the day-ahead index, and that's for off-peak and on-peak prices. With that extra 20% with the off-peak is a lot cheaper, so that kind of draws down the price. You're always able to lock that in. Once you lock it in, you're set, and you go right back to the fix. So this was our current contract we're under is that. I would like to do the same thing.
Just for clarification for the public, this is electricity purchased by the village for the use of the village. This does not impact our residential customers at all. Any discussion? Got a motion?
So moved, Your Honor.
Kaufman?
I'll second.
Tom?
Okay. Herman,
Yes.
Kaufman,
Yes.
Newhouse,
Yes.
Dobb,
Yes.
Hare.
Yes.
That's all I have tonight, Your Honor.
Planning and zoning.
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Trustee Dobb.
Nothing tonight.
Trustee Hare.
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Trustee Herman.
Thank you, Your Honor. We added one quick item to revise the agenda. We had a last-minute opportunity that came up, and this involves the disc golf tournament that's coming up the September 11th through 14th. We have several of the top players participating this year, including the top-rated female and the Ricky Waski, who is top-rated in the world, coming this year. And also, Terry Miller with Smashbox TV is going to be broadcasting the tournament live, and then it'll be available on the internet for future viewing. So a lot of good things happening. But we have several local disc golf enthusiasts that have invested a lot of time and effort and money into promoting this tournament and our courses. And one of those, Nate Heinold, and possibly some other members of his committee, were at another tournament a couple weeks ago. And they asked some of these top players if they would be willing to put on an exhibition on Thursday. And that would be free admission. Anyone could go watch these top players in the world. And they agreed to do that. And Smashbox is also willing to film it. So just the logistics of adding that additional day of events and filming is adding up to a little bit more money. And the committee is willing to pay a portion of that, but they approached Mrs. Piles and asked if the village would be willing to cover a portion of those expenses. And Mrs. Piles sees this as a great opportunity to not only showcase our disc golf courses, but also to gain some national and international exposure for this tournament. The organizers believe that the addition of this exhibition featuring these world-class competitors has the potential to be a huge catalyst for growing this tournament into a contender for holding future national and international competitions. And I feel that potential justifies this expenditure, and move to approve an additional $800 of funding for the disc golf tournament this year.
Second.
Any discussion?
Mrs. Piles is here if she has anything to add, or if anyone has any specific questions.
Just one of the things is, Susan, I don't know if you know or not, but the actual rating of the golf courses themselves are actually some of the top-rated courses actually in the country. And I know not everybody's familiar with the disc golf, but there has been a lot of volunteer work and a lot of stuff done, and it's something that's it's worth the recognition, and I'm going to support it.
But is the additional funding just for broadcasting?
The additional funding is for the broadcasting. Terry, they have convinced him to come for the weekend, but with this additional, they needed some extra funds to do that. And when they
But it's
first,
not bringing more people in there, it's just
well, it
broadcasting.
probably is,
Yeah.
because they are promoting this, that these players are going to be here, and that there is going to be an exhibition, that is free to the people coming to attend. So I think that there will be people coming on Thursday who may have been coming to our tournament, but not until Saturday or Sunday.
But
And
if it's
so-
broadcasting, watch it at home instead of come.
Well, they still get an opportunity to see these top players. And the other thing about it being broadcast around the world is there are players in the world who actually travel to various courses to play. It's kind of a new sport to our community, but it's pretty amazing.
We have people coming from Oklahoma, Phoenix, Florida, all around to participate in this. So it's just a kind of a special opportunity that they've agreed to do this, and for a minimal investment, it could reap big benefits, which our goal is to grow things. So this is a way to showcase our community.
One of our goals is for these events to become self-funding with the help of the village, and here we're increasing the funding. We've lost Morton Blaze, as I understand, so I think we have something that looks like an attractive event or sport that will create revenue dollars for Morton and make us an attractive destination point. I'm not necessarily opposed to it, but and on the grounds that this may become an event for Morton, I think I'm willing to support it. But like all of these things, I will want to see an evaluation when this comes up next year that says, yes, it was village money well spent.
The other thing I should point out is that this is within our budget. When the grant committee was reviewing the grant applications, and also just as part of Susan's budget, she allowed a line item for special events, should something new come up. So it's part of our budget. It's just that we are choosing to spend it now, if it's approved.
Any other discussion? Would you call the roll, please?
Kaufman.
Yes.
Newhouse.
Yes.
Dobb.
No.
Hare.
Yes.
Herman.
Yes. Thank you, Your Honor. That's all I have tonight.
Trustee Kaufman.
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Trustee Newhouse.
3 items tonight, Your Honor. I will take them in reverse order so that we got a little time for me to provide some background on the special use permit. The first one then would be the consideration of the Tazewell County zoning case. It's in your packet. It is on the agenda because it is within our 1.5 miles, but in fact, we have no agricultural preserve zoning, and the county action is basically irrelevant to us, or put another way, it's solely their responsibility. So no action is required on that. The preliminary and final plat for Kaiser Estates is also part of our 1.5 miles, not actually in Morton, and that is basically a move to plat off the house from the farmland. No reason for us to have any concern about it, and therefore deserves our approval. And do we need Counselor, do we need a voice vote on that? I am. I think that'd be best.
Okay. Okay, so move to approve, we need an approval. Preliminary and final plat would need an approval. So move to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Sam here. Any further discussion? Paula, please.
Newhouse,
Yes.
Dobb,
Yes.
Hare,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
Kaufman.
Yes.
Okay, that brings us to the special use permit. There seems to have been some confusion about this process, and let me say first, just for the benefit of everybody who's here and anybody who might be watching on television, that the process by which any Plan Commission hearing or any special use permit and any building permit is completed is pretty standard. It's from community to community and probably from state to state. And the order of events in which the building permit and the site plan review come first is part of the process, as is the hearing. That is the opportunity for parties to air their views. And I will ask Mr. McGrath to comment if need be here, but by way of background, there was a voice in opposition at the Plan Commission hearing. Ms. McGill opposed. Petitions were presented, but petitions have no standing because there's no sworn testimony. Is that not correct? So petition is maybe to some extent an influencer, but it does not count as testimony. There were a couple of questions from the audience, but no one else who was sworn and opposed. With respect to the special use itself, there is a provision for that special use in the ordinance. It is not a violation of code, as someone commented at that meeting, but is specifically there to allow for the instances where land use permits, appropriate land use permits, that 35-foot height could be exceeded. The height in question is consistent with other churches in the area, and in fact, this land was bought, I think, in 1992, solely for the purpose, or I shouldn't say solely, but largely for the purpose of relocating Bethel Lutheran Church along with the school, and that has always been the plan. That does not relieve the church from the responsibility to go through the process or give them any special treatment in that respect, but it is part of what would be considered an appropriate land use. So the plan commissioners made their decision within the confines of the law that direct how plan commissioners are able to vote on solely on land use, and they recommended, with one abstention from a member of the church, for approval. And that brings us to tonight. We have had an appropriate review by the village. It meets all of the standards that we go through with site plan review. It is in compliance with the ordinance. There are no legal grounds on which to oppose it, and I have to believe that this is consistent with good land use, therefore move approval, Your Honor.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second here. Would anyone else among the Board of Trustees like to comment?
Well, not a trustee, I'd like to supplement a couple things Mr. Newhouse stated. Everything he stated was accurate. The Plan Commission serves as a hearing body for your benefit. They receive testimony and evidence. They assign weight and credibility to the evidence presented, and they take a vote representing their determination of whether the evidence presented establishes that the petitioner has met the requirements to obtain a special use permit, and also representing their decision as a land use matter as to whether this is something that should proceed forward. They make a recommendation for your final action. So any evidence presented, any testimony brought forth is weighed and considered by them, and they ultimately make a decision as a hearing body to recommend either approval or denial. So that's their role in the process. It is a procedure followed pursuant to our code, and in terms of procedural due process side of things, in terms of when people get notified
That was done as per code and as per state law. In this case, everyone received timely notice as required by law. And the additional point on the building permit, nothing was pre-decided before the special use hearing. Until you take final action, they don't have a special use permit and they can't construct this tower at 52 feet. It requires your vote tonight to follow through with the recommendation of the Planning Commission, and until then, they can't build it to 52 feet. So they did not have approval. It wasn't pre-decided before the Planning Commission hearing.
Any additional comment? Any additional questions?
I have a question. I thank Dr. McGill for being here tonight and, pursuing this and asking the questions. I have not had an opportunity to watch that meeting yet, but I just had a question, two questions. The 52 feet, and I don't know if Steve or Roger, is typical. I mean, we have other churches that have that height. Is that a standard,
Or more.
or more? Okay.
The First Baptist Church has after they built the church, they came back to the village and asked for special use for the steeple that's now there.
Okay.
And that's 54 foot 8 inches. And then Grace Church, when they built their, although it's not really part of the church building, that freestanding cross is 70 foot tall.
Okay, so I drive by First Baptist every day. So what I'm looking at there is similar to what is being proposed here,
Yeah, this-
especially is the height.
This is more of an architectural
Yes, I saw
structure
that.
of the building. You can see by the stone that goes up the front of that.
I see.
Yeah, that is the high part right there. It has that cross that will be backlit, as they mentioned. And I think if I remember right, that's lower, I don't know that it really has any effect on this, but it was actually lowered to this height. It was on a previous drawing higher than this.
And my other question had to do with the backlit cross. So that in no way is going to be shining, illuminating
No, this-
another
this
property
controlled-
of
this
any.
controlled light,
Okay, thank you.
by testimony of the architects.
It looks like it's about 8 foot higher than the roof.
That's probably right, yeah.
And it's facing Queenwood.
Facing, Queenway, it's at an angle. The building kind of sits kind of southwest, not straight south.
Queenwood and Maine, then.
Yeah, that direction.
Is that all, Trustee Herman?
That's all I have. Thank you.
Anyone else have a question? Should call it, please.
Daub,
Yes.
Hare,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
Kaufman,
Yes.
Newhouse.
Yes.
We've decided not to have a closed session tonight, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Please call it.
Daub,
Yes.
Hare,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
Kaufman,
Yes.
Newhouse.